Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and baby Stella. I've had about a month off from doing a bonsai video. I really enjoyed the latest videos of my bonsai broskies, but I was just enjoying time with Franny being home from New York City for 30 days. That was great, and just enjoying the holiday season and family time. And really, it's a downtime for bonsai. So if you're going to travel as a bonsai artist and you have somebody to water your plants, this would probably be the time to do so. Unfortunately, we did not get away just because of the circumstances and the little baby. But we had a great holiday. Franny's back in New York City, and so it's time to get back to business. So today we are going to be working on my Baobab or Baobab bonsai. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I have one that's a year older, and then I have three in a forest planting together that just 1 year younger. And I put them in a huge pot, and they did great this year. They have nice soil, a lot of room to grow, and they really grew muscularly. Stella's about 6 months old, so she's trying to crawl everywhere and be crazy. Anyways, so that's what I want to do with my older one because it did not have a strong growth this year. I'm not getting much ramification, so I'd love to get it in a new pot. So I'm going to do what the bonsai bloke would call a slip pot. Get it in a larger terracotta pot that I think suits, this species with their bright green leaves. And with forest planting, we're actually going to do a little pruning. So they're indoors 24/7, 365, and that's only because the Northwest Connecticut climate has no correlation, nothing close to African climate. So I don't even want to mess with it. If I keep it indoors, I can control the temp, and they get more or less lighting depending on the time of the year. So that's for me, that's their period of dormancy is right now. That's why I'm not pruning the roots on the smaller Baobab that I want to slip pot, because it's not a good time to repot things. Even though these are indoors year round, it still knows okay, this is winter here. You agree? Can you see my new hoodie? It's from my bonsai broski, Scott Winard at Let's Do Bonsai. Thank you so much, my friend. It showed up unannounced the day before Christmas. So awesome. Liverpool. If you don't know, Liverpool Football Club, my favorite club. Even though he's a West Ham fan, we talk about soccer all the time together, or football, depending on what part of the world you're in. And yeah. So anyways, I really appreciate it, Scott. You the man. And I can't wait to come to England and actually watch a match with you. So, without further ado, Baobab trees, pruning and slip potting. On today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, so I've got my new and improved soil pourer here. It's just basically a pint of orange juice, emptied out, cut. And in this little bag, I've got the remnants of some high quality bonsai soil mix, mainly like lava rock and pumice, stuff like that. And then below is my own personal mix, which I ordered perlite and a little bit of spot gum peat moss and threw that in there. So today's video will be filmed on an upgraded tripod Laura got me for Christmas. It's got a microphone and then that little square thing that's white. That's a little light. So, there's even a balance thing. So we're upgrading all over the place. So stand by for the video. All right, so on the left, you're seeing the oldest Baobab that I have. Baobab. And you see it's been pruned a couple of times, and it really does not divide much at all. So I think today we're going to just slip pot this one and leave all of this and let it just grow crazy like I did with these this year. These have actually gone dormant. And this is my group planting. So I've got the smallest one up front, big boy in the back. It was so hard to just let these grow and not prune them back this year. So I see healthy buds at the end of each of these branches. Of course, old camera will not allow. Here. Come on, zoom. There we go. Anyway, that's a nice healthy bud coming out. So I think I'm going to prune these back nice and hard. They grew very well this year, and I'm looking for some early branching just above the initial trunk lines that I've established over the past couple of years. And with this one, I'm putting it in this pot with some beautiful soil. All right, so in this little planting here, I have a nice obsidian rock that I actually found on the road here after a nice snowstorm when they were plowing, so it was clearly a part of like the substrate. Oh, and then a couple of different ones, not important. Anyways, I have let this thing grow in this tiny pot, and I just want to, you know, maybe put a jade or a succulent in the smaller pots and get this into a larger pot, not only so that it can really grow strongly and divide and all of that, but I would really like to get all of my indoor trees to the point where I could water them once a week and they're all in the same growing cycle. So like, if I'm to do that, what I'm learning is the succulents, they go in the smaller pots, and then as, you know, depending on the tree and its needs for a water source, you change your pot size and the difference in your soil. So like somebody that doesn't need a lot of moisture, you do more of the lava rock and pumice and perlite, things like that. If you need some organic matter in there to keep it wet, then you know you start adding your sphagnum peat moss. So anyways, that's what I'm just developing. That's specifically for me. I would like to just have one day a week where I water my indoor trees, so I'm really getting close. So this will actually solidify that. I think I'll be all set. So I'll put, tomorrow I'm planning on doing a jade planting, in which it's like my first jade. So I'm going to prune it up. I'm going to take the cuttings and put it in this pot after I put this bad boy in here. So let's get started with that. I'm just noticing I don't have a drainage screen, so let me get that. Cool. So let's see if my new little, yeah. This is our favorite orange juice. Comes out of Florida. What's it called? I guess it's not important. They have a holiday greeting on there, not their normal names. Just filling the bottom in. Nice bonsai mix. Just want to let this thing grow, get nice and crazy this year like these did, and then I'll prune it up next year. I don't want to mess with the roots, especially now that it's winter, but at the same time, I've been putting off addressing this issue for a while, so here we are. Kind of making a little rim with a hole in the middle. I don't know what these roots are going to look like. It's probably going to be pretty matted. Yeah, initially, you know, I'm only in this 4 years or so. Initially, I just wanted to put everything in a tiny pot and just go straight bonsai with it. But, you know, as you go and you learn, you realize it's not an easy and fast path. So with each tree and each species, there's different trajectory. With this one, I want to develop some branching. And then, you know, maybe later in life, we'll get into some smaller potting, but I don't need it in a tiny pot right away. It's a baby, right? The jades and succulents, they're fun in small pots because they don't need a lot of water. They absorb a lot through the air. And you know, you could prune them a few times a year so they really get some branching. Smaller, or excuse me, slower growing ones like this, not so much. So I don't know if you saw the root system. It's very shallow, but it's decent. We have this root trying to grow up. I'm going to put it down deep in the soil, aim it down. I'm glad I got to see it because I just didn't like this in that smaller pot. I wanted to be able to grow it out, and it was always leaking out the outsides, and I was curious about the root system, if it was, you know, too dry all the time or whatever it may be. And it was an initial soil that I used, probably recycled from an outdoor plant, you know, nothing crazy, nothing bonsai. And so here we go. Even though it's winter, I didn't mess with the roots, and I think it's going to be some progress regardless, because these will grow through the winter unless they go dormant like this guy. So this is part of the bonsai mix that I mixed into my ultimate bonsai mix. This was pre-perlite and any organic matter. It's got some great colors: greens, blues, whites, oranges. Very cool. So this is not the most steady in the pot, but maybe a little more. I thought that I had like a ton of sand gathered from the local park, and it was great for a finishing top dressing. I was totally out of it, so I'm like, you know what? I'll use this stuff. It's a special tree to me. If you're trying to grow from seed, it's tough. You may be better than me, but 125 seeds, I have 4 trees. A lot of them develop, but because of the difficult process trying to develop them indoors, you can go back on the playlist and check it out. It's just very low percentage tree. I would call it the hardest tree to germinate and keep through the first few years of any of them I've had. So there you go with that one. All right, let's add these rocks back in here. Weld them back in here. I'll get it watered in, and then we're going to prune up this sucker here. All right. All right, let's get this guy front and center. I love these 3 meerkats. I got these in Dresden, Germany a few years ago. A little road trip in Europe. It was amazing. This is the best botanical garden / zoo ever. Anyways, they're cool. And you see I got some rocks that, in my mind, represent what a Baobab would be and what would be around it. A couple of large ones with some clay coloring, and then these maroonish shade. And you see we got a lot of strong growth this year. Bruce Lee, it was me. It was the rocks, bro. My dogs are on high alert for some reason. So, I just want to bring them all back. I have some deadwood from previous prunings. And I'm just going to bring them back to about a ½ inch above where the last scarring is, because that's usually where a bud will come out. I'm pleased with these. They're fun. I just need some branching. So I let them grow this year, or last year, and now this year I'm pruning them back hard. And they're slow growers, especially the first few years. So maybe it's like a pine where they grow very slow for a few years and then they just take off. I like that. They're usually in an eastern facing window, so I try to turn them so they don't get too slanty and leaning. This one I wanted to prune back hard. Some more deadwood here. I don't want them to just like, follow the sun, not have their own identity. It's funny, even these parts that look dead, I'm pruning them, and then there's a little bit of green underneath, so I'm like hoping I get bud back in there too. Maybe you hear Stelly. She's fighting a nap right now. And I'm just bringing this one back inside the pot. Right here is a nice healthy new bud. It'll probably remain dormant, I'd say a year, or not a year, a month or so. But if I do this, they'll probably bud back right away. So there's one more scar right here, which I'm pretty sure I will get some bud back into. Boom, boom. Fast and Furious. But it's funny, these three grew up together, and this one is so dominant. This one's actually larger